Although the new Dark Ties standalone feels a tad undercooked, Yakuza Kiwami 3 excels in its goal to be a more ambitious and madcap version of one of the franchise's sunnier jaunts.
This ain't got nothing to do with you, so piss off!
And you need to learn how to take no for an answer.
What if Yakuza 3 but madder and more? That seems to be the underlying mission statement for RGG Studios' latest full-scale Like a Dragon remake, Yakuza Kiwami 3, which this time aims to go the whole hog. Not just by remaking one of Kazuma Kiryu's sunnier exploits, but by bolting on an all-new side story in the form of the totally original Dark Ties Expandalone 2. It's certainly a generous package, one that aims to satisfy Yakuza heads who have been patiently waiting for the next Kiwami installment since 2017. However, much like its title suggests, this strangely bifurcated experience very much results in a game of two halves, and not always for the right reasons. Because while Yakuza Kiwami 3 still impresses thanks to its wildly expanded side content, engaging story, and the slightly reimagined way it's told, the much hyped Dark Ties side story's painfully short length ensures it's primed to disappoint. The truth is though, even without Yoshitaka Mine's side hustle included, the long-awaited Yakuza Kiwami 3 was worth the wait.
Apologies. Wasn't my intention to scare you.
Much like in 2009's original Yakuza 3, this newest Kiwami remake picks up with Kiryu at a time in his life when the legendary Dragon of Dojima is seeking to put his previous life of crime behind him. In most epic gangster stories, this would be a classic case of that old chestnut, but in typical Yakuza fashion, it's given a relatively oddball spin here. You see, Kiryu's decision to vacate his usual Kamurocho digs takes him to more scenic pastures, more specifically the island region of Okinawa and its fictional sunny district of downtown Rikuyu, where he now elects to run an orphanage. And yep, you heard that correctly. This sharp change of setting and vocation is what gives Yakuza Kiwami 3 a lot of its identity, and I'd be lying if I said that, following two previous remakes set solely in the city, that it isn't nice to indulge in this holiday of sorts. As far as the story as a whole goes, there's nothing new here that original Yakuza 3 players won't recognize. Kiryu's attempt to be a better person eventually sees him drawn into the criminal underworld once again, after a military operation threatens to encroach upon his enterprise. It makes for a fun, if somewhat predictable journey about the futility of trying to escape your past, yet it always manages to keep your attention thanks to the underlying theme of fatherhood that underpins it all. The bond between Kiryu and his adoptive daughter Haruka is still one of the best aspects about this series, and it's on full display here in Yakuza Kiwami 3 thanks to all the ways RGG Studio has expanded Kiryu's orphanage endeavor into a full-fledged minigame dominated hub. Speaking of which, it's after Kiwami 3's first couple of chapters where you're thrown into the revitalized Morning Glory Orphanage. It's here, in between significant story beats, where you're afforded the chance to grow your bonds with the children in myriad ways, be it helping them with their homework, racing against them to catch insects, cooking meals, or sewing their preferred fabric designs together. Increasing your daddy rank now feels like a meaningful part of the Yakuza 3 experience. Sure, there's a reality where you could skip right on to the next story chapter and miss building up these bonds entirely, but you'd be doing yourself a disservice, especially since all these activities only further help to emphasize what Kiryu is fighting to save as part of the main plot. Equally as refreshing for returning Yakuza players is the all-new Bad Boy Dragon storyline, which essentially lifts the recruiting and battle system from last year's Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii and drops it in the middle of Kiwami 3's iteration of downtown Rikuyu. Replacing pirates for biker gang members and ship battles for motorcycle-fueled raids, I was surprised by how much thought and depth RGG Studio has placed into the act of defeating rival gangs. Doing so is ultimately never as flashy as Majima's sea-based spin-off, true, yet recruiting new members to my gang, either by rescuing them or completing their desired tasks, was always on my mind whenever I stepped back out into this small but sunny open world district. Engaging in these so-called baddie battles serves as an appropriately madcap respite to the story, made more fun by the high degree of customizability in the people you can assemble, as well as your bike and group's appearance. Downtown Rikuyu in general has been rendered absolutely beautifully in Kiwami 3, serving a similar purpose as Infinite Wealth's Hawaii in that it's simply a far more relaxing and welcoming region to explore. Better yet, getting around it has been made easier thanks to the return of the Street Surfer, which makes ticking off sub-stories and dipping into all of Rikuyu's minigames far less annoying and cumbersome than it needs to be. Is it the biggest open world or most impressive map a Yakuza game has dropped you in? No, but the Dragon Engine has done a really good job at making it a detailed location that's easy to soak in while exploring. It also helps that beating down endless punks and thugs within it has been given slightly more depth thanks to the addition of Kiryu's far faster, weapon-based Rikyu style of fighting that sits alongside his more familiar Dragon of Dojima style. Sadly, it's when attention turns to Dark Ties, what should be the most exciting new piece of this Yakuza 3 puzzle, where things start to fall short. Centered on Yoshitaka Mine, one of the main game's key antagonists, this entirely Kamurocho set side story should have worked perfectly well as an effective but brief look at this businessman turned Yakuza gangster's descent into crime. However, taking place across just 3 short chapters, the entire thing can be finished in just a little under 4 hours, which makes it abundantly clear why RGG Studio elected to treat this as simply a Yakuza Kiwami 3 add-on rather than a standalone game in its own right. Admittedly, you don't lose anything by Dark Ties being included, yet it does make Mine's story immediately feel lesser than. RGG Studio has tried to buff out Dark Ties a few ways, most obviously in the form of an underground fight brawl mode called Survival Hell, yet it feels relatively bare bones compared to Kiwami 3's biker-centric Bad Boy Dragon mode. Fighting through endless reams of baddies using Mine's boxing style moveset is fun in the moment, yet it never 100% connects to the trajectory of his arc in a way that's satisfying, and could pretty much be totally ignored as you progress his story. Honestly, my favourite aspect of Dark Ties is Mine's relationship with the ever boisterous Kanda, a larger-than-life character he sees as his ticket to rise up the ranks of the Tojo clan. A main part of the game is to raise his reputation by ticking off tasks within Kamurocho on his behalf, which only ends up stalling this already short story's runtime, since you can't carry on until a certain number have been completed. Overall, Dark Ties isn't outright bad, but it does feel noticeably undercooked and padded given the potential of Mine's journey.
Nice pass, Mine!
In the end, as a wider, more ambitious reimagining of Yakuza 3, Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties more than achieves its goal. It's just as madcap, bonkers, and yet surprisingly poignant as the franchise's other most beloved entries, only now it's bolstered by a gauntlet of new minigames and activities that further hit home themes of fatherhood and standing up against injustice. It's definitely a shame that the Dark Ties portion of this package never reaches its full potential, yet this is more than made up for by Yakuza Kiwami 3's absolutely gorgeous take on Okinawa and the new and improved ways you're able to interact with it. As far as a beatdown-led holiday in the sun goes, Yakuza Kiwami 3 serves as RGG Studios' best reimagining yet. We at All Out Gaming give Yakuza Kiwami 3 plus Dark Ties a 4 out of 5. So there you have it guys, in terms of our full review thoughts on Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties. Are you looking forward to picking this one up? I know there's a lot of excitement around it. Be sure to let me know in the comment section below. And then, when you've done that, why not leave this video a like if you enjoyed it, and consider subscribing to the All Out Gaming YouTube channel to stay up to date with even more videos like this. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.